things and the messages that the program tries to get across, I think it is absolutely phenomenal. And I'm not just talking about Victoria Justice as a whole. I'm talking about herself and her co-stars coming together and making one hell of a dramatization for Nickelodeon. I think that we can put Victoria Justice at the top of the list for being considered as the next Demi Lovato or Miley Cyrus. And, you know, for the better part of maybe 6 to 8 years, the teen idols were considered to be Miley Cyrus, Demi Lovato, Selena Gomez. Those three seem to be the ones that everybody was talking about. Now Nickelodeon seems to be fighting back, producing talents like Miranda Cosgrove, iCarly going 1 to 4 seasons. You had Victorious come out, and it was described as Nickelodeon's latest hit show, and no doubt it is. I think that with Nickelodeon backing it financially as much as they have been, they have a considerable amount of faith in the program. Not that well of a huge casting list that's known. Not too many people on that show that are known other than Victoria Justice, but I think that Nickelodeon has been backing it financially considerably enough, and I think they have a considerable amount of faith in the program because of the acting, because of the music that was collaborated for it, and just how Nickelodeon has this reputation for being able to take somebody and reproduce a star overnight. And I think Disney falls in that same category. There are a number of talent agencies that have a reputation of taking a nobody and making them a somebody overnight. I think Victoria Justice, Miranda Cosgrove, Jeanette McCarthy, Jerry Trainer, Nathan Cross, who plays Freddie Benson on iCarly, I think they have this God-given talent where they can reproduce a star and make them somebody overnight. And it seems like Victoria is the one that is drawing the significant amount of attention to it, because it's just, you know, the messages it conveys are unbelievable through the collaboration of the music, where the majority of the messages come from, and then you have each message that each show, each episode tries to convey. So I think that everything kind of comes together and makes this show as successful as it is. I think, you know, I have reason to believe that this show is going to go to the top of the list of hit shows, if it isn't already there, for Nickelodeon. I think that the messages the show conveys about different relationships and what kind of turns your life can take, and the messages, more importantly, that the music that was collaborated for it gets across. I think that this show has every reason to go to #1, and eventually will jump ahead of shows like iCarly and Drake and Josh and Tough Puppy, which is one of Nickelodeon's most recent animated shows starring one of the stars of iCarly. An important note for our listening audience, this video will be available on YouTube at youtube.com JonathanClarke22 as a video archive, and it will be available in our audio archives. It will also be on our RSS wall on Twitter at twitter.com HEW Entertainment Jonathan Clarke 1 for your opinion. So if you have anything about Victoria Justice you would like to tweet to me, you can follow me on Twitter at HEW Entertainment Jonathan Clarke 1, and we are following Victoria Justice on Twitter at HEW Entertainment Jonathan Clarke 1, twitter.com Victoria Justice, and we are following a considerable amount of Nickelodeon stars. We're going to be covering a lot of happenings with Nickelodeon. Check them out at nickelodeon.com for programming information and all the happenings with Nickelodeon, because I think that, you know, Nickelodeon seems to be coming up from the abyss. They seem to be rising up out of the abyss and having a lot of attention drawn to them. They've been releasing a lot of video games as of late, particularly for Nintendo DS. If you've seen the new Victorious video game for Nintendo DS, which is available everywhere now, where video games are sold, that seems to be what Nickelodeon is promoting now. And the new doll line, the fashionable doll line that Victorious just recently released, it's a doll, kind of a Barbie doll about Victoria Justice. It's a Victoria Justice prototype, kind of like the Hannah Montana dolls and the Selena Gomez dolls and the Demi Lovato dolls and so on. This prototype is absolutely phenomenal because it is motion censored, and once you move the microphone up to her mouth, she begins singing the theme song of Victorious, which of course is Make It Shine. So I like the doll. I think the doll is great, and I think the prototype of the Victoria Justice doll definitely puts into perspective what her career, what level her career is at now. I think it's not at the level of a Demi Lovato or a Miley Cyrus just yet, because she's not all that well known. Before I started watching the show Victorious a few months ago, I really had no idea who she was. I knew there was a show called Victorious, but I really didn't know that all that much about it. Now that I've been following it and paying attention to it, and once I began following Victoria Justice on Twitter, I've taken a considerable amount of interest in the show because I really think that she's at a level right now where she could probably jump ahead of Miranda Cosgrove and Jeanette McCarthy and the cast of iCarly. Another important note that you should take into consideration is the show iCarly and Victorious were both produced by the same guy, kind of like how High School Musical and Hocus Pocus back in 1993 were both produced by Kenny Ortega. Kenny Ortega also had a considerable amount of interest in the Jonas Brothers and Miley Cyrus World Tours, which he choreographed. So I think that, that's something that you should take into consideration. Both iCarly and Victorious were marketed, promoted, and created by the same guy. I think that's great too, because with how successful iCarly was, for a while there people were saying she was the next Hannah Montana or Hilary Duff, the next major teen idol. With the success she's been having because of that, and being adored by so many people, Victoria Justice has that same amount of luck now because she has the same producer of her show who was behind iCarly for all these years. So that's kind of cool too. The thing that Victoria Justice has going for her, not only does she have a considerable amount of talent in regards to acting and singing, but she also has looks, and of course, as the old saying goes, looks definitely sell if you market them and produce them correctly, and I think that that's what they're trying to do with Victoria Justice. They have a formula, but the problem is they just don't have the formula down pat, and once the writers and the creator of the show gets this formula down pat, this show is going to ascend out of the abyss and basically go on to greatness. I think that Victoria Justice has definitely skyrocketed to fame because of her talent. The thing about somebody now for these agencies, what these agencies look for are not only if you can sing, but you have to have a considerable amount of acting ability as well, and you have to be able to promote something significantly well as well, and that's what Demi Lovato, Miley Cyrus, Bridget Mendler, who we previously talked about on here, are able to do. They're able to sell something and make you believe in something a considerable amount. And I think that that's what Victoria Justice is eventually going to be able to do. She's not only going to be able to sing and act, but she's going to be able to promote, get her promotional skills up to par with the likes of Miley Cyrus and Demi Lovato, and be able to promote Victorious in a way that it could possibly become Nickelodeon's #1 show. I think she's not ahead of iCarly just yet, but she has the potential of jumping ahead of her. She's not as promoted as Miranda Cosgrove is. Miranda Cosgrove has a considerable amount of music on her side as well. That's going for her as well, and she's also had a considerable amount of these songs actually get played on syndicated radio programs. The song Kissing You, Dancing Crazy is another one, and There Will Be Tears are some of the singles that Miranda Cosgrove has released. The song, which is the theme song of Victorious, we played that for you here at the top of the program. It is called Make It Shine. That's the song the doll sings that was just released by Nickelodeon's toy line. I like the prototype of the doll, and I like the idea of the video game for the Nintendo DS. Not only is the Victorious game available for the Nintendo DS, but there are a number of teen idols who have their own video games particularly released for the Nintendo DS. I saw a Wizards of Waverly Place one not too long ago, and a Sunny with a Chance one, which is also available too. So it seems like the Nintendo DS is the platform where the teen idols have these video games released. It seems like it's a simple video game basically to play, but it's nice to have your face on a video game. It's great that you have a promotional poster and a website of yourself, victoriajustice.com, of course, but it's always nice to see yourself get a doll line, a closing line, and a video game line to fall back on if something backfires on you, should something backfire on you in your career. She's also starred in a number of different Nickelodeon original movies. The Boy Who Cried Wolf, which was a Halloween production starring her, was great too. I think that she has a considerable amount of things going for her, which is great, and the fact that she has the internet too to help her promote her stuff through her official website, where she posts her tour dates and anything happening with her shows and different projects Nickelodeon has lined up for her, and using her Twitter account and her Facebook page. We are following Victoria Justice for you. at twitter.com HW Entertainment Jonathan Clarke. One, I'll probably tweet a number of Victorious videos in anticipation of this video archive at youtube.com Jonathan Clarke 22. I'll talk a little bit about our Twitter account too before we get out of here this afternoon. But I really think that with the internet and Nickelodeon backing her, she's definitely on a road to success. She has her own album as well too, and that's something else that's going for her. I like the idea of how these stars have stuff to back them if something potentially backfires in their career, and I think Victoria Justice has a considerable amount of different things going for her that makes her a phenomenal talent. And her co-stars too really bring something different to the table. I mean, you have Emily Osment, who was Miley Cyrus's co-actor for a number of years, and I read in the Miley Cyrus book that they didn't have that well of a considerable amount of chemistry. They didn't really get along all that well, according to the Miles to Go autobiography, which was an autobiography about Miley Cyrus's life. And Miley basically put it into perspective for her. She got along with Emily for the first few years of Hannah Montana before a bond was developed between the two of them after the filming of the movie. And she couldn't really understand why she hated Emily Osment so much, but they developed a bond after the Hannah Montana movie was released in 2009. And that's something that I think Victoria Justice has over a lot of stars on Disney and Nickelodeon, is the ability to bond and develop friendships with her co-stars, and that's something that I noticed from watching a considerable amount of Victorious episodes, is the fact that she has such great chemistry with her co-stars on the show, so that's kind of great too. There's not a bit of animosity like there was with Hannah Montana, or there might be with Sunny with a Chance, where Demi Lovato was actually checked into rehab